Hello, you guys, and welcome back to Mystical Visions. So, for our final reading to close off the year of 2023, I wanted to do something interesting and actually look into the future a little bit and take a look at what ascensions are coming your way in the year of 2024. Now, this is going to be an interesting reading because I don't know what to expect. This topic just kind of came to me earlier today. So hopefully it's something interesting and hopefully it's stuff that you might find resonates with you. So as usual, we have 3 piles. You can go ahead and pick your pile in just a second. Timestamps, as always, are in the description. If this video resonates, if the messages here today resonate with you, please remember to like, comment, subscribe. It really helps the channel out so much. But yeah, without much further ado, here are the piles. So for pile number 1, we have a triangular long boy. I do love my long boys. For pile 2, we have a Stonehenge looking long boy. I don't know why I said that. What does Stonehenge looking mean? Anyway, and for pile number 3, we have a little shield looking guy. Not a long boy, but a flat boy. So go ahead and pick the pile that calls to you intuitively. Timestamps are in the description, and I'll see you at your reading. Pile number 1, hello, welcome to your reading about what ascension is awaiting you in 2024. So we have a few cards laid out already. And the way I've arranged this is we have 3 main cards, that is 3 main answers, and then 3 clarifiers for each of these respectively. And what these cards signify is these 2 will talk about what ascended for you in 2023, the current year. These talk about what ascensions, bracket S, is coming for you in the new year, 2024. And then these last 2 cards will talk to you about who you will be at the end of this ascension. Now, this doesn't have to be the end of the year. I wanted to leave it a little more open-ended because ascensions can be quick, they can take time, you never know. And then towards the end, as always, we will pull some oracle cards on camera to answer any question you may have or just to give you general advice. So, welcome. Before we even get into the actual cards, I always like to talk about how the cards were behaving because I find that it can tell us a lot about what our state of mind is at the time of shuffling. And for you guys, the cards, for lack of a better word, the cards felt sticky. And not physically sticky. I meant more like they refused to just like fall out. And when they did fall out, when I shuffle, I shuffle with the intention of not looking at the face of the card. Just so, I'm as surprised by the messages as you are. But I just find that it helps me channel. But these wanted to fall out face up. So I had to basically look away when they fell and then flip them over and then position them. So interesting. I think these messages really want to come out today. So, okay, let's get into it. Our first card is going to tell us what ascended for you in 2023, pile 1. And we have straight away the Queen of Cups. Emotional maturity. Oh, that's so sweet. Pile 1, I want you to look back at the year of 2023 and think about who you were emotionally at the beginning of this year versus who you have become now. I do think this year may have put you through a lot emotionally, because I keep hearing emotional turmoil. I don't like that word. I don't like the feeling it's giving me. But you may have undergone some emotional turmoil. You may well have grown through all of that. But what I'm hearing right now is that you've grown through it rather than you've going through it. You've grown through it. And who you are today is a more grown up version of who you used to be. I think you're now in a space where you can kind of look back at who you were in the past and really think, oh, actually, I don't even recognize that person anymore. But also you can look back at the things that have happened to you and realize there were deeper lessons there. Maybe you have a different reaction to your past than you did at the time it was happening. Does that make sense? Okay. So for instance, say now you've, cut off contact from someone. Could be a friend, could be an ex, could be a family member, whatever. At the time, you may have felt like everything was going completely wrong, and this was almost like the universe was conspiring against you, and why did this happen to me? Why did I have to lose this person? The things that we think when we are hurting. Perfectly valid. However, I feel like you are now in a space where you can look back at whatever situation that was and say to yourself, actually, I am so grateful that fell apart. Because look what I have now. I'm so grateful that didn't work out, because look what I could have now. Look who I am. I am not even that person. Even if I was able to hold on to that relationship or that friendship or that whatever, I would not be who I am. And even if I did become who I am today and still stayed in that relationship, it would just not be a vibrational match. Does that make sense? I think you have grown a lot. You have grown enormously as a person in the last year alone. Oh, that's wonderful, Pawan. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and look at what ascensions await you in 2024. This doesn't have to be singular, but we have the star in reverse. Now, don't freak out. So the star upright talks about optimism and, ignore my awful thumb snowflake. I did it with my non-dominant hand. But the star usually talks about optimism and dreaming and, almost a sense of naive hope. To have that in reverse could indicate pessimism. But since we're looking at ascension, I think the context is a little different. I think you are breaking through some illusions, I'm hearing. So with the star, there's this feeling of hope, and sometimes hope can be kind of like misplaced, if that makes sense. The point I'm trying to make is, in the new year, your ascension revolves around grounding and becoming more practical, becoming a little less kind of hazy and dreamy, and starting to really ground your intentions into your physical life. Because the star card is ruled by Aquarius, and the sister sign of Aquarius is Leo. Leo is, your leadership energy. It is your, I'm here, I am proud, I will grow, and I'll make you grow with me. I'll force you into an ascension. Maybe you are taking on a leadership role, pile number one. But to me, this definitely feels a little more like you're not living in an illusion anymore. Maybe, again, not trying to diagnose or anything ever, obviously. But I'm talking to you as someone who deals with this sometimes myself. Maybe you have a tendency to kind of dissociate from the physical world and kind of use your fantasy life as a coping mechanism for when life gets hard. Ooh, maybe the Ascension is going to bring you to a stage where you don't need to do that anymore. Interesting. Oh, pile one. That's wonderful. Look, I know it sounds scary right now to feel like you're going to be stuck in the physical. You won't even have that mental escape. But trust me when I say it's not in like a bad way. It's not that you'll be forced to deal with all the nonsense on Earth with no way to cope, but rather your real life, the life around you, is going to be so much better than what it used to be that you might not need all of that wishful thinking. You might not have any need to escape anymore. It's like that saying, I don't need to sleep anymore. I don't want to sleep anymore because my real life is so much better than my dreams were. I fully butchered that. I don't know how it goes, but that's the kind of vibe I'm getting. Before we dive into our last couple, let's look at our clarifiers because this is really interesting. So to clarify the Queen of Cups, we have the Four of Cups. Interesting. So what ascended for you in 2023? Is that emotional mature? Oh, okay. So, sorry. So in this image here, do you see all these like super fancy cups? And then there's like a plainish looking one here that she's not looking at. That would signify freedom. And in this card, this cup that this mermaid character is holding looks pretty much like the same as this freedom cup in the Four of Cups. So maybe your ascension centered not just around emotional maturity for you, but also around recognizing what emotions or what situations make you feel the best. Maybe you did like a real like clear out of the energies that just aren't a match for you anymore, and that led to this emotional maturity. Maybe you've come from a place of almost like holding on so tightly to relationships and people and friendships that you kind of didn't even realize until now that if I want different, I need to make space for different. I need to hold back my cup of emotions instead of just giving it to anyone who asks for it. If I hold some back, I then have like the capacity for something new. Does that make sense? I can't speak today. Does that make sense? Part one. Wow. Okay. So to clarify the star in reverse for what ascensions are coming towards you, there we go. The Nine of Swords in reverse. The Nine of Swords is the anxiety card. What did I say about maybe you kind of dissociating to try and avoid the physical real life? I think a big part of your ascension in the new year is going to be working on the fear of kind of looking and living in the physical world. Maybe you'll do some root chakra healing. Maybe you'll do a lot of like grounding practices that will really help you step away from this energy of, living in a dream, living in a fantasy world, and start to appreciate the real world. Maybe you'll finally feel safe enough. This ascension is going to change, or this new year is going to change the world around you and restructure it so that you feel safe being present in the physical world. Let me tell you, pal number one, this happened to me very, very recently, and it is a feeling that you definitely want. I know it's scary to kind of step away from all those fantasies in your head that make you feel safe and loved and comforted. But when your real world starts to feel that way, there's nothing like it. Pole number 1, I promise you. That's definitely something to look forward to. So let's go ahead and take a look at who you will be at the end of this ascension. So for our main cards, we have the King of Coins in reverse. Interesting. Let's see the clarifier. The Queen of Swords in reverse. Oh, okay. So, I was a little concerned, I'm not going to lie to you, pal 1. Because both of these cards you usually want to see upright, because the King of Coins upright talks about being on top of your financial, abundance, being on top of your money. And it's in reverse. And the Queen of Swords upright talks about being, almost cutthroat, taking no nonsense from anybody. And we have her in reverse as well. However, I like to read intuitively. And here's what I'm getting from this is this. If both of these cards were upright, I feel like that's the kind of person you have been forced to be so far. I think you've been forced to be on top of your money game. You've been forced to kind of cut people off and be ruthless in, enforcing your boundaries, rather. I think you've had to take on this role of like guardian and protector and, the smart one, the one who makes good decisions, and always just constantly living in this masculine energy of, when I say masculine, I mean like, spiritually, the structured, point A to point B type energy. The kind of energy we usually associate with masculinity. You know what I mean. But I think by the end of this ascension, you might get to a place where being this person doesn't appeal to you as much, or rather, the kind of burden is lifted off your shoulders where you don't feel the need to be this person. Where you don't feel like your only job is to be the provider, is to be the smart one, is to be the cutthroat one. You will finally feel comfortable relaxing and letting go. And, maybe easing up on those boundaries a little bit, realizing the world is not out to get you, or financial ruin or, intellectual ruin is not just around the corner. It definitely feels like you've been dealing with a lot of anxiety for a very long time. Trial number 1. And I definitely feel like the anxiety is easing up to a point where you don't feel the need to be on top of everything at all times, where you finally feel comfortable enough to let your guard down, to just, to kind of melt a little bit. Do you tend to be quite an icy person, or like a closed off person, pal 1? Not necessarily in the sense of like you're not easy to talk to or anything like that. I'm sure you're lovely, but do you tend to keep your emotions on the DL a lot? Because that's a very like masculine trait as far as we understand masculinity, which we really don't. But I think you might identify as a very masculine person, and then this last year has really opened you up to just how messy your emotional side has been this whole time, because you keep ignoring it or refusing to let it out because you don't feel safe enough to. And that's okay. It's perfectly fine to do what you need to do in order to protect yourself. But I think you are on the cusp right now of breaking through that fear, of learning that not everyone is going to treat you like this. Some people will be there for you. Some people will help you feel safe enough to let all of yourself out. Not just like the cool, icy, powerful Capricorny bits, but rather the sweet Pisces bits, the gentle Virgo-y bits, the bits that really show your soul. I think you're going to find a better environment emotionally, and that's going to help you step away from these very structured, forceful, I have to be this person type thinking. So go ahead and either think about a question, or we can just look for general advice for this ascension moving forward. So what advice or answers do you... Oh, thank you. Oh, it's upside down. Star Brothers and Horus energy, protection, loyalty, safety, trust. Yeah, it's that protection energy. You feel safe. You feel like you can trust that the world is not going to keep falling apart on you, that every day is not going to be a struggle for you. Part number one. I do feel you've dealt with quite a lot of anxiety this year, or you've uncovered a lot of anxiety that was there for the longest time, and you're finally entering a space where not only are you able to hold space for this anxiety to be expressed, you're able to let it go. You're able to feel the feeling and then release it. That's a very feminine trait. I do feel a lot of like masculine, feminine energy interplay here. Part one, maybe you're stepping away from your masculine for a little bit and, exploring your feminine energy. And that's wonderful. It doesn't make you less manly or anything, or less structured or less capable of anything. It's just expanding your skill set in it. Yeah, I definitely think you have a lot of divine protection around you right now. Whether you believe in that kind of thing or not, divine protection doesn't need you to believe in it in order to exist. But I think in this year, you might start to trust it a little more. You might start to rely on divine protection a little more while you explore all these unknown aspects to yourself. Oh, that's lovely. Okay, so one final card for any answers, any advice for pile number one, please. Thank you. Trust the niggle. What is the niggling feeling trying to tell you? I feel the need to kind of help you decipher what your thoughts are, because here's the thing, with anxiety, it can get quite easy to think that your anxious thoughts are your intuition. It's kind of like, am I feeling this? Am I, thinking something bad's going to happen because of my anxiety? Or is it my intuition trying to warn me beforehand? And the way I've always been able to discern it, or the way I learned to discern it rather, is that anxiety will be loud. It will come with all these like insane symptoms. It will be this obsessive thought that doesn't leave you, and it comes along with all of the bells and whistles. It will be like the heart pounding and the pulse racing and, the dizziness and nausea and everything, all the like your breath being, rapid, all of that. It's anxiety is loud, whereas intuition is quiet and it doesn't try to convince you. I think that's the major difference. The intuition knows that something's going to happen, and it doesn't have to use all these insane tricks and all these bodily functions or whatever to try and convince you. There's our confirmation bike. I was wondering where that would be. It doesn't need to do all these crazy antics in order to, make you believe anything, because it doesn't need you to believe. It already knows. So, when you start to explore your feminine side, you might find that you get a lot more intuitive hits. You might find that in the new year, you start to channel a lot more thoughts and, feelings and just ideas or whatever. Some of these might be scary, and I think you need to understand how to discern between what is anxiety and what is intuition. And I think that will help you, once you figure a system out to be able to tell the difference, I think that will help you alleviate a lot of unnecessary anxiety. So that's your reading for today, pile number 1. That was so interesting. I'm so proud of you for getting to this stage so far, and I'm so excited for you, because when you explore that feminine energy, trust me, it's going to feel amazing. But pile number 1, thank you so much for hanging out with me and letting me read your energy and letting me do this reading for you. I really, really hope it resonated, and I'm rooting for you. You got this. Trust me, this is going to be our year. I hope you have the most wonderful new year, and I'll definitely be uploading in the new year. Don't even worry. But thank you so much for spending some time with me today. If this reading resonated, please remember to like, comment, subscribe. It helps the channel out a lot. Let me know what you think about this prediction. Let me know if it works out. And stick around to the outro for another reading on my channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye. Pile 2, hello. Welcome to your reading about what Ascensions brackets S await you in 2024. So if you picked this long boy, then you're in the right place. All right. So we have a structure, as always. We have 3 cards and 3 clarifiers. These 2 are going to tell us what ascension you've gone through in 2023, the year that's passed just now. The next 2 cards are going to tell us about the ascensions awaiting you in the new year in 2024. And the final 2 cards will tell us about who you will be at the end of this ascension. Now, this could take all year, but it could be quicker, it could take longer. I didn't want to limit, the time frame to just who will you be at the end of the year. So at the end of this ascension. And then, of course, if you have a question, you can ask here. If you just want general advice, whatever, we'll pull a couple of oracle cards for advice towards the end of the reading. And let's dive in. Oh, first, I should mention, when I was shuffling, your cards came out just beautifully, just perfectly. I think you're in a calm space right now. Whether it's like a literal calm space as you're watching, or just in general, you're like in a calm headspace right now, which is brilliant. Good for you. But yeah, let's dive into what ascension you've gone through in 2023. So our first card we have is the Tower. Oh, I mentioned this in the last pile, but ignore my disgusting snowflake here, because I did it with my non-dominant hand. So anyway, I'm left-handed. The Tower. Wow, you went through some stuff, pile 2. Yeah, this is a big uprooting energy. I feel like you had to just, start completely over this year. Just whatever you had built just came crumbling down, and you had to start over. And that was your ascension. Because, so what's interesting is the imagery here. You see the clouds, the lightning, the fire, all of this happening up here where the Rapunzel's hair, I think this is Rapunzel, I can't be sure, still here. So she's still in the tower. This almost feels like a dragon. But all these people who couldn't stand the force of this energy have fallen apart. I think you've left some people behind, pile 2. I think you've kind of grown beyond certain people in your life or certain situations in your life. obviously this is a general reading, apply it how it fits. But there was a big shift in, I keep thinking the tectonic plates of your life. Does that even make sense? I feel like whatever you had was not even built on solid foundation. And so it had to crumble. It had to fall apart, part two, because where you're going as a person, these people just could not join you, whoever these people are, or this person, whoever. There's no way that they could withstand the force of what you are about to become. And I think you may be in a space where you're still reconciling this falling apart of everything. But it's that survival of the fittest, but in like a spiritual sense. Does that make sense? Where you are going, you are ascending so rapidly, and that's why it happened all at once. Okay? It's not that, it was a slow build for all of this falling apart. I think you were kind of blindsided by it. It was like an instant shift. And that's because you are about to evolve so rapidly that you had to kind of be jolted into that spot of where you can then grow as a person. Because I do think after this tower moment happened, I think you've just completely changed as a person. I think you've done so much healing and so much growing that you're not even sure how you stayed in that situation for as long as you did. Interesting. So what ascensions are coming in 2024 for my Pearl 2? We have the Queen of Wands. Love that for you. And you know what's interesting? Is you have the same exact clouds. But while here, everything is falling apart, here, she's dancing under them. Yeah, I think you've gone, and also here in this card, it feels like they're like behind her. I think you might have a very macabre sense of humor. I think you might enjoy like the darker, spookier side of life. But this energy, just from the imagery, it's kind of giving me this feeling of you are now in a space, or in 2024 you'll grow to be in a space where these kinds of moments don't even faze you anymore. You'll be so dynamic and so, thinking on your feet, that when another tower moment happens, and tower moments happen to us all the time, with the next one, you'll be like, I am ready to dance about this. I'm ready to dance with this, to work through this tower moment instead of try and make it stop. Does that make sense, Pearl 2? It kind of feels like 2023 was a year where you learned a lot of coping mechanisms, a lot of how to deal with, situations when life falls apart, how to, grow through all these tower moments as opposed to letting them take you down. And, I'm not saying you didn't have moments where you felt weak and where you felt like you could fall apart. We all do, and that is good. That's healthy, because it means that you had something you thought was worth protecting. That's great. However, it is simply just the law of life that when we grow as people... Sorry, my nose is like really itchy right now. Oh, I think it might be this candle actually. Anyway, when we grow and evolve as people, as souls on our journeys, our vibration is constantly rising, it's constantly elevating. And over time, what happens is that we might become too much for certain people who are not meant to walk that path with us. And they might not recognize this. They might not even think that the reason they don't want to stay around us anymore is because they cannot keep up. But most of the times, that is just what leads to, situations falling apart or relationships falling apart, is because we're just not a vibrational match anymore. We might have been at one point, but one person has outgrown the relationship while the other person hasn't. And there's that kind of disconnect where instead of, being on an even keel, it's like one person has gone up, the other person wants to stay, and then there's just no balance. And I think you're stepping into a more independent energy of, I recognize my worth, I recognize my growth as a person, and I feel confident in the understanding that should something like this happen again, I'll be good. I'll be fine. It'll hurt like hell, but I'll be good. I will grow through it and I'll be a whole other person again. Before we get to our last two cards, let's look at the clarifiers. So clarifying the Tower, we have the Eight of Swords in reverse. Yeah, you were really kicked out of your comfort zone, pile number 2. Dang. Because the Eight of Swords upright talks about building a shield around yourself, building kind of like a fence almost, a protective barrier. And so to have that in reverse talks about stepping out of that barrier, but to have that clarifying the Tower, it almost feels like you were like thrown out. Maybe you were literally like kicked out of your house. I don't know. It was a pretty big deal. Pile 2. But, it sucked. Okay, from what I'm perceiving, it sucked big time. Okay, but it wasn't you. I mean, it was you, but not in the way you think. It wasn't that you did something wrong, or you said something wrong, or you invited this somehow. It's more that you had outgrown that situation, and being, thrown out of what's familiar is hard. Okay, it's hard. You've been through it. But the point is, it's growing pains. Every time we grow, we go through pain. Babies, when they get their first teeth, it hurts. It's awful. When they're learning to sleep, it's awful. Growing pains are a real thing, and that is also true emotionally and spiritually, obviously. So when you are growing and evolving as a soul, when you are ascending, I think whatever this situation was, it's put you on a path towards self-discovery. It's put you on a path towards finding what your true purpose in this life is. And at the end of the day, that's the only reason we're here, right? So yes, there was loss, and yes, there was panic and fear and all the icky stuff. But look what it's turned you into now. Clarifying the Queen of Wands for what Ascension is coming your way. You have the Queen of Coins in reverse. 2 queens. Interesting. The Queen of Coins in reverse. Yeah, I think you're stepping away from that craving for stability. I think you're someone who could thrive in chaos. You really could. But because there's this fear of the unknown, of like, I don't like chaos energy because I can't control it. Does that make sense? I think your 2024 Ascension is going to help you step away from this very extremely like structured, fixed energy and step into more of a I'm gonna dance. Yeah, it's that I'm gonna dance around, not dance around, but dance along with the tower moment rather than, digging my heels in and forcing it away and making sure everything is exactly the way it has been forever. I think you're learning to step more into this fiery, passionate, kind of like, dancing flame. Yeah, this flame is like really dancing right now. I don't think the camera's catching it really well, but it's like dancing. That's the dancing flame. That's kind of the imagery I keep getting. So let's go ahead and take a look at who you will be by the end of this ascension. So for our final 2 tarot cards, we have the 10 of Swords. Interesting. And to clarify it, we have the Empress. Beautiful. Beautiful. Who will you be at the end of this ascension? You will be done. You will be done with all of this nonsense. You will be ready to end that cycle of, holding on to people that are not meant to stay in your life. I think you're already there for the most part, but really by the time this ascension is over, and I do feel like this is going to be quite early in the year. I genuinely couldn't tell you why I get that feeling, because it's not the cards. It's just an intuitive hit. I just do feel like quite early in the year you'll have gone through this understanding of, maybe I don't need to make sure that everything is exactly the way it's always been. Maybe I'm okay with allowing life to surprise me sometimes. I think you're about... Now, okay, so let me explain. The 10 of Swords is often seen as a scary card because it signifies the ending of a cycle. It signifies pain, betrayal, drama, yada, yada, yada. But it also signifies the fact that now that this is over, the healing can commence. Now that this cycle is over, I can be a new person. And I do think that has been a pretty big theme across your entire reading. Because look what's clarifying the 10 of Swords. It's the Empress. The Empress is that nurturing, creative soul. You'll be stepping more into your, I want to say mothering energy. I don't know, maybe you are literally a mother or like a parent or some sort. But you're stepping into this energy of nurturing others by first nurturing yourself. You're stepping into the energy of, I've given enough to others, but I cannot pour from an empty cup. So I'm going to fill my own cup first. And that way I'm better in every relationship, in every situation. If I can take care of myself, I can take care of everyone I love. You're definitely, I do think you're stepping into an energy of healing and, recuperating and rejuvenation, all of that good stuff. But we need to process this tower moment first, which I do think you've mostly done for the most part, but there is still that little, fine-tuning bit. Does that make sense? A little more fine-tuning. Pile 2, I think you're towards the end of this cycle, especially with this 10 of Swords, you're at the point where you're about ready to be done with the situation, but the only thing that's left is understanding that you can't force anything to stay the same. Change is the only constant. Change is the nature of life. And you simply cannot, work against the true nature of life. In fact, I think the reason this tower moment had to happen is because you've been resisting change for so long. You've been resisting growing and evolving as a person because it meant that Because deep down, I do think you knew that none of this was a good enough fit for you, but you refused to allow yourself to think that, because that would mean ushering in the unknown. That would mean leaving space for chaos, and you just could not have that. And so the universe kind of forced your hand and was like, you know what? You're gonna do it. I don't care if you like it or not. And guess what? You did it. You know, you grew through it. You're at this point now where you're ready to move with the ebbs and flows of life rather than, you know, be headstrong and work against it. Well done, Part 2. I am so proud of you because, wow, this is not easy energy to go through and grow through. And I feel like I want to give you a pat on the back. I wanna do the dad thing where it's like, well done, sport. You did it. So, okay, either think of a question or just we can ask for general advice for your ascension, but let's go ahead and shuffle some oracle cards for you, Part 2. So, what is the answer to my pile 2's question, or what general advice? Whoa, okay. We have water your garden, nourishment, body care, tenderness, rest. What did we just say? You need to learn to pour into your own cup so you can serve others better, so you can love better, and you can be more present. There is a lot of nourishment coming your way. I think you're going to come across a lot more nurturers in this new cycle, a lot more people who will give you as much as you give them, and a lot of healing, just like inner peace, you know. Definitely, I think the big advice here is to start thinking about self-care, to sort of, since, you know, it's the new year, it's the time to make new rituals and, you know, plan things out. You know, come up with a ritual that you will do at least once a week. Be that watching your favorite movie or show as you drink a hot chocolate, or getting massage, or doing some intense skincare, doing some intense hair masks or whatever. Do something to pamper yourself frequently, more frequently than you do right now. That's for sure. It's that sense of, it kind of tells you that you deserve better treatment. Wow, that was powerful. I think it tells you that you belong with people who will treat you the way that you treat yourself, which is always true. Whether you treat yourself well or not, that's kind of the love and affection that you attract for yourself, right? So in nurturing ourselves, we're not just taking time to make our bodies feel good or our minds feel relaxed. We're intentionally putting out the kind of spidey senses, the bat signal. We're kind of putting out an intentional bat signal to call in people who would treat us exactly the way we want to be treated. That's powerful. Okay, one last card for my pile number 2, please. What advice or answers? Whoa, okay. Soul family. I love this card, Soul Family. Call in your tribe. You don't have to do it alone. I know, that's right. And I do think a big part of your ascension in 2024 is going to be your soul family come in. I think you might already be seeing that a little bit. You might be seeing some new faces come into your life, some people who feel a lot more nourishing and nurturing to your soul, stepping into your energy. And that's because you've already started working on this healing, working on self-love and self-care and, self-enrichment even. But I definitely see more of your soul family coming in. Oh, that's exciting. Pile 2. Well done. You did so well this year, and it's gonna be so much easier moving forward because you will be better equipped as a person to deal with challenges. So I'm proud of you, Pile 2. You've done extremely well. But yeah, that's your reading for today. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your time and energy with me. And thank you for letting me read for you. I hope you have the most wonderful new year. I can't wait to see all the amazing things you do. If this reading resonated, please remember to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your situation is. If you feel like sharing, feel free. But yeah, thanks for spending some time with me. Stick around to the outro for another reading. And I'll see you guys in the new year. Bye. Pile 3, hello. Welcome to your reading about what ascensions await you in the year 2024. So, if you picked this little flat guy, then you're at the right place. Welcome. So, as always, we have a format. The way I've laid these cards out is we have 3 tarot cards and 3 clarifiers. The first 2 cards here are going to tell us about what ascensions have happened for you in the year of 2023 that has just passed. These 2 middle cards will tell us what ascensions await you in 2024. And then these final cards will tell us who you will be by the end of this ascension, whatever time period that may be. I don't want to limit it. I don't want to say end of the year. Sometimes ascensions are quick. Sometimes they take ages. You never know. But this is who you will be by the end of it, whenever that is. And then, as always, you can either think of a question or just ask for general guidance, and we'll pull a couple of oracle cards on camera for you as advice or answers. So let's go ahead and get started. First, we have what ascended for you in 2023. And we have the 6 of Swords. Moving to calmer waters. I think you may have stepped away from a situation that it was tumultuous. I think this has been a recurring theme in today's reading, actually. A lot of people walking away from situations that don't serve them anymore, which is brilliant. We love to see it. We are not here to deal with people and situations that don't bring us peace, that bring us chaos and turmoil in like a bad way. Okay, we are not here for that. We are here to live our best lives at, the highest possible expression of ourselves. So I do think 2023 has involved you just stepping away from chaos that wasn't even like the good kind of chaos. Personally, I'm a big fan of like chaotic good energy. This does not feel like that. I think what you've walked away from was just chaos for the sake of chaos. It wasn't productive in any way. And you have stepped towards much calmer waters. And it does feel like, I'm trying to think, I think this is, I can't tell whether this is more like, relationship-y or worky or whatever it is. Worky doesn't even make sense. Not even a word. I'm sorry. It's quite late. But I can't really get a read on that quite yet. But whatever it is, I do think you've been wishing to step into a more light-hearted energy for a while. And it finally happened for you this year. Maybe in the last 6 months or last 6 weeks, because, the 6. But maybe you stepped away from like a toxic situation of some sort that just, it wasn't letting you be your best self. And you're now in a place that allows you to be peaceful, allows you to find a breath. That is so interesting. Power 3. So that's what ascended for you in 2023. It's really, really quick, actually. I didn't feel like sitting here and talking to you for ages about this because I feel like you're over it. You're ready for the next thing. What ascension awaits you in 2024 is the 7 of Coins. You're building back up. Okay, yeah, you definitely left a situation that felt so insane to you that there was no way you could build while you were there. I feel like you are here to do amazing things. And this, whatever this situation was, did not allow you the space to do it at all whatsoever. But where you are now, in the coming year, you're able to lay foundations down. You're able to start from the ground up again. And I'm hearing like you might think it's a little late for that, but it's really not. And do you see the progression from 6 to 7 and from swords to coins? Swords is like air energy, coins is earth energy. They're opposing elements. That is so interesting. And we have water in the imagery here and fire in the imagery here. It's like night and day. What you have been through is like almost like the exact antithesis to where you are or where you're going in the new year. Have you left like a toxic home of some sort? Power 3. It does. Hang on. I've never seen this before. Do you guys see like this bit? It almost looks like a seashell. Let me see if I can get it any closer and focus. You see this bit here by the head? I've never seen that before. It almost looks like a seashell of some sort. That's interesting. Maybe you're connected to like the sea in some way. Maybe you live by the beach. Oh, well, we have a lot of like literally overseas travel here. That is interesting. I've never noticed that before. I don't know why. Maybe it will come up again. But the point is, you're stepping into a space now where you're able to kind of find purpose. You're able to find peace and find stability. That's the word I'm looking for. You're able to find enough stability that it allows you the space to start over again. So before we get into our final cards, let's go ahead and look at our clarifiers. Clarifying the 6 of Swords, we have the Hierophant. Maybe this was an institution of some sort. Maybe this was like you felt obligated to stay in this. Or you just... Because the Hierophant usually talks about institution. It talks about dogma, principles. Maybe you were staying in this situation just out of principle. Not because you wanted to, but because you felt you had to. Maybe there was like a sense of, I'm not the authority here. I don't get to make this decision. And that's like the energy you left behind. Or alternatively, you stepped into this authority. Maybe you felt like a switch in the power dynamics that then helped you walk away from the situation. That's interesting. That's the ascension that you had, your soul had planned for 2023. But looking forward, to clarify the 7 of Coins, we have the 9 of Wands. Interesting. The ascension coming up for you is going to be about taking on more responsibilities, I think. And it might seem scary. It might do. But there is something that you need to do to build yourself back up from the ground. I keep hearing like, speak up. You need to speak up. You need to start being independent again. Start standing up on your own 2 feet again. And that's going to be really, really scary, because taking on additional responsibility is never an easy task, and it's never a task for people who are not willing to do the work. So if this is coming up as an ascension opportunity for you, Power 3, I do think you're the kind who is happy to do the work if given the opportunity. However, this situation may have made you a little complacent, and maybe that's why there's this kind of fear. But it almost feels like you're afraid of putting down roots. You're afraid of stability in a way, while simultaneously craving it for your entire life so far. But it almost feels like there's this fear of, if I allow myself to start to trust this situation, if I allow myself to put down roots again, it's going to be uprooted again, and then I'm going to have to leave again, and it will be an endless cycle. And that's a very valid fear, Palfrey. Absolutely. And you deserve to feel the way that you feel. That's completely fine. However, in the new year, I do think you're going to be called to stop wallowing in that, stop ruminating over that feeling of fear of, I want stability, but I don't want it because it might be taken away. But I'm afraid that it will be taken away because I really, really want it, but I don't want it because it will be, it's that constant cycle. And this ascension is bringing you clarity about this. Okay, it's bringing you clarity about the fact that you have these fears. In fact, watching this reading might be part of that clarity. Hi, you have this fear. But B, it might bring you to a space where you actually do some work on it, where you actually start to figure yourself out, and be like, is it productive for me to ruminate over this and to stay in this fear, to live from this fear? Or does it make a little more sense for me to work past it so that I can actually have that stability that I crave without being afraid of stagnation? Ooh, that was some powerful stuff, Pile 3. But let's go ahead and take a look at who you will be at the end of this ascension process. We have the 3 of Swords. Interesting. The 3 of Swords usually talks about heartbreak. And to clarify that, we have Temperance in reverse. Okay, this ascension, this specific one, it almost feels like the first of a series of them. Okay, because to have Temperance in reverse, Temperance upright talks about having like a dynamic balance. It's about, finding stability but not stagnation. That's exactly it. It's stability without stagnation. I'm going to remember that for the next time I need to explain this card. But to have it in reverse and clarifying the 3 of Swords. The 3 of Swords is about heartbreak, about feeling betrayed and lost and, all of that. This ascension is going to bring... Okay. First, I need you to take a deep breath, okay? Because this is going to sound a little scary, but I promise you it's for your own good. But this ascension might take you to a place where you feel upset and betrayed. Wait, hold on. Don't panic. It's okay. This is a good thing because it's going to force you to want to change how you see the world. I don't know about you, but I'm a firm believer in the idea that whatever we are going through, our higher selves have chosen for us. And that sounds so messed up given all of the awful things that people go through in this world. It is you hear some like really harrowing stories. However, our souls are immortal. Our souls don't feel pain. Our souls come here for a purpose. And a lot of the times that purpose involves pain. And I do think your soul has kind of planned this sequence of ascensions out. And pain is a necessary outcome. This feeling of heartbreak, of loss, of, discovering just how messy your internal thought process is an important milestone. Because that's going to help you realize just how unbalanced your life has been this far. And then because of that, you then get to step into something that is better for you, that you actually want. It's this feeling of recognition. It feels like you're finally able to put words to this feeling of unfulfillment, of discontent. You're finally able to put a name to it, give it a voice. And what happens then is you start to realize it, as in it becomes real, and also you start to kind of recognize it. And once you do that is when you start to heal it, and then you get to go to the next step of your ascension. I feel like this is kind of like a snapshot of your year ahead, because it doesn't feel like all of it. It doesn't feel like this is going to be the whole thing and you'll forever feel this Three of Swords energy. Of course not. But it does feel like this is an important stepping stone towards where you are headed. And in 2024, you're going to be directed towards this healing that will, in the long run, you will be so grateful you went through it. Interesting energies. Pole 3. Okay, so either think of a question or just, ask for general advice about this ascension. But let's go ahead and see what the oracle cards have for us today. Any advice or answers for my pile number 3, please? No? Okay. All paths lead home. Inner authority. Intuition. Turn your gaze within. Interesting. I think you're searching for answers outside because that is our instinct, to try and put a physical reason behind the pain that we're feeling. However, you're definitely being called to look inside instead, to literally turn your gaze within. Okay, there might be something. Oh, because both these cards have their eyes closed. They are looking inwards. There might be a lot of shadow work you need to do, pile 3. There might be a lot of growing. But in order to get to that stage, you first need to recognize that something is wrong. Step 1 is always admitting there is an issue, right? And that's a good thing because it means that once you're able to find the issue, it's like with medicine. If you go in with just a whole bunch of symptoms and the doctors can't find what's wrong with you, they can't cure you. In a similar sense, unless you find what's going on in your energy, there's no way we can fix this. There's a reason you were able to walk away. It's because you know there's better things out there. There's a reason you want to put down roots, because you know that there is security and stability. However, there is also a reason you haven't done it yet. And that's this fear. And when you recognize this fear, you're gonna start feeling betrayal. You're gonna start feeling like, I lost so many years to this just because I didn't recognize it. But the point is, you did recognize it. You recognized it now. It's better late than never. Imagine if you had to go through all of your life living in this chaos energy. I couldn't do it. I'm sorry. Like, I don't know what your situation is, but I couldn't do it. I need my peace. And I feel like you're also the kind of person, you're discovering that you too need your peace. We all do. That's the only way we can grow. So, yeah, don't expect the world that hurt you to also give you the healing that you need. If the outside world has done you damage, the only way to fix it is to look inside. That is so interesting, pal 3. One last card of advice for my pal number 3, please. Whoa. Rama, where are you being called to journey to? There's a lot of journey energy here of, moving away, stepping into a new space. Maybe you're literally moving house or moving to a different place, moving far away from this conflict and chaos. Maybe somewhere where there's water as well. Just from the imagery, there's a lot of water. But the point is, where are you being called to journey to? This could be literal, but honestly, it almost feels like there's this nagging sensation inside you to go inwards, and you're refusing to do it because you're afraid of what you'll find. Because you know that it's going to lead you to this 3 of Swords energy, which is hurtful as hell, but it needs to be done, and no one can do it for you. You have to be the one to look inside and to, take all that darkness out, take all that muck out. So that's your message, pile 3. That was heavier than I anticipated, but I do hope it brought you some clarity and support anyway. You are doing so well. You've done so well this year, and it doesn't feel like it's going to be easy, but that doesn't mean that you can't do it. You've got this, pile 3. I believe in you, and you ought to believe in you. But yeah, thank you so much for hanging out and sharing your energy with me today. I really, really hope this brought you some support and clarity and strength and, just love and comfort in general. If it resonated, please remember to like, comment, subscribe. It helps the channel out so much. I hope you have the most wonderful new year. I can't wait for you to grow and, do amazing things for yourself and for the world around you. Thank you so much for being here. Stick around to the outro just after this for another reading on my channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.